Yeah, what's good, y'all? So look, check it out. What we about to get into is gonna be real epic, if you ask me, my opinion. But yeah, let's get to it. The purpose of this video is to alert you about the plot to separate dualism. I was guided to do this video, pretty much. Now, let's get into the definition of dualism, right? So the definition of dualism is the division of something conceptually into two opposed or contrasted aspects, or the state of being so divided. That's one definition. I'm going to read four of them, I believe. The second definition is the quality or the condition of being duality. Now, another definition is a theory that considers reality to consist of two irreducible elements or modes, the quality or state of being dual or having a dual nature. A doctrine that the universe is under the dominion of two opposing principles, one which is good and the other evil. That last one I just read off is the one I want to focus on because it seems to characterize the dualism more than any of the other definitions. And lastly, there's a metaphysical definition for dualism as well, and that is, let me make sure I'm turned up. That is the belief that there are two kinds of reality: material, physical, and immaterial, spiritual. Y'all know I'm for that because I'm a Pisces, and material fish, physical, spiritual fish. Y'all know how I give it up. In philosophy of mind, dualism is the position that mind and body are in some categorical way separate from each other, and that mental phenomena are in some respects non-physical in nature. But nonetheless, these are all great definitions. I subscribe to the majority of it because it accepts that the mind and the body are one. They're separate, but they're one, right? So I can get with that. I like yin yang. I know the positive, the negative. Anyone, like, if you study, if you know about the atom, right? Then you know, like, if you study the torus field and stuff like that, then you already know, like, this is something that is natural in existence. All right, from the beginning. The torus field. Study the torus fields. And so I say that to say this, right? For the definition that states that there is a difference between good and evil, right? Where does this come from? Well, we know from religious text that the Genesis story states this whole good and evil thing, right? And the reason why I'm posing it like that, like, I'm not trying to be funny by saying where does this good and evil thing come from. I'm saying this because I want to identify who is good and who is bad. If there truly is a such thing, right? Which people are the good ones and which people are the bad ones, right? Because then because check it out, right? We got let's talk about Star Wars for a minute. Because Star Wars is a good place to look at when we're looking at good and evil, black and white, the yin and the yang, dualism. Heavily depicted throughout their films and things of that nature, the characters as well, right? So if we look at the Galactic Empire, the Galactic Republic, it became the Empire later on after the Sith got real charged up, turned up, and it was made evident that these two entities were not together. However, before that, they were the Galactic Republic, and as the Galactic Republic, they actually served together. Those who follow the story are familiar with this, so I'm not just making this up to, as satire. This is for real. So, and this is for thousands of years. The Jedi served the Republic. Now, the Sith acted operated as a shadow government of the Republic. However, it wasn't until the split that things got messy, or whatever the case may be. And I want to make a point of that because when you look at the operations of us, humanity on Earth now, there's a strong relationship between what you would call, I guess, executives or merchants and government. the people included as well, but we'll get to how a lot of the people are looked at. Slaves, cattle, things of that nature. But strong emphasis put on the executives, the merchants, the rulers, I guess you can call them, the elites if you want to, and government. Now, you'll see in theatrics or politics a lot of the times that one is against the other. It's real heavy right now, and I'm not saying that there's no truths to any of those arguments that take place in the political atmosphere, but at the same time the operations of those things are still connected. Government and the elites, the executives, are one and another. They work hand in hand. All right, I'm going to depict that with astrology as well, so it won't be something that's just mere speculation. So with knowing this, right, so they say, how does it go? And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get in the comment section if you feel like you're part of the republic. Then are you part of the republic? If you're part of the republic, or if you feel like you are, like it's not divisible. The duality is accepted and exists hand in hand. Then why is there a Democrat? Why are there Democrats? Why is there, or AKA the demo mob, right? Why is it the demolition mob? Why is it a need for there to be people representing people who are denoted as less than or not part of the republic, right? There's a representation for these types of people. Now I'm going to tie this into religious stuff because it's there. Like if you look, it's there. You know what I'm saying? So my theory on why there's a split, or first of all, I just want to look at it in terms of energy. Like I theorize that it's a push-pull mechanism that violates the equilibrium, which is the balance of life. And I don't want to get into particulars of what balance in life is. Like you got a good job, you got a good career, you got a hot wife, and you got a couple of kids running around. You got two car garage and stuff like that. I'm not really talking about that, right? I'm talking about positive and negative energy, meaning, and push-pull, meaning if someone pushes you and you're not receptive to the push, then they're in violation of your equilibrium. You understand? And you're either going to accept it, encounter or experience some type of injury to yourself, or maybe you decipher it as taking the high road and say, you know what, I'm bigger than that, I'm better than that. It's just a figment of my imagination. Nothing really happened to me. They just said something. It wasn't disrespectful because I feel that they're delusional. I don't even believe anything that they said. I've been and had these talks with myself plenty of times as well, like to where things that I walked away from that I normally wouldn't, I guess it comes with maturity and wisdom. So, nonetheless though, it doesn't mean, so it's more of a gut feeling. It's more of an intuitive feeling of when somebody violates like your personal space to the point where, you're like, okay, now you're too close to me, or now you put your hands on me. So now you're in total violation of my equilibrium. Or again, it could just be in a concept, right? Like you got to work at this place, or okay, put it this, like say you move in on somebody's couch that your friend, family, whoever, right? And then like, well, you got to go find work by next week, or you got to get out, right? So now there's a push mechanism on your equilibrium because maybe you just don't feel like right in this instant is the time to go do that. Maybe something intuitively is telling you, I'm not going to get a job until 3 weeks from now. Like you can actually have that type of feeling. It's not that you're trying to play this person, or you're trying to be a bum, or you're trying to be lazy. It's just like you're telling yourself like, okay, that's a little bit too pushy, right? I'm just trying to use small examples so you can understand my theory of why there's this split. Although in nature we are dual entities. It's in nature. I just got finished reading it all. Please use a dictionary if you think I'm trying to like fluff you up or whatever the case may be. Told you I'm gonna try to be objective here, right? So let's look at the political spectrum, right? We got the Republicans who, they cheered when the rich got the tax breaks and stuff like that, right? As soon as the students came along and they got some relief, Republicans got angered. And what's dope about this whole social media era is that I got friends who are into politics, and they'll like post all of these highlights of tweets and posts that each party had tweeted and posted throughout their political careers, and they basically are putting their foot in their mouths when it comes to being for the people, because they always choose a side. They always choose a side by what they say, by what they do, and it really reveals who they truly are. So let's think about this, right? If you're a republic, right, and one nation for which it stands under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all, how is it that you don't want your students to get a break, right? Wouldn't you, as a republic, wouldn't you want your students, who are going to be the next, potentially or more than likely, the republic or the elite of the republic, wouldn't you want them to be educated? See, now if there's a push against that, right, then you got to question. You got to say, well, these people really don't feel that these people are part of the republic, because if they did, they would support that notion. So it makes one think, because it's like, okay, when you look at the military, they hedge on students not being able to afford higher education because they'll enlist in the military. And in a lot of instances, they even tell them, like, look, you can get educated while you're here. Did you know that? Yeah, you can get, so that's part of the package too. But it's just like, yeah, that's one of their legs to stand on when it comes to enhancing the military. Military, we're talking Aries energy, we're talking positive masculine energy, all right? So that's part of the force that pushes positive energy. May the force be with you. You follow me? All right. So, it's just something to think about. It's something to ponder on. Like, wow. Okay, so you don't want these people to get educated. And I'm going to just give you a brief story. For those of y'all who subscribe to me, y'all already heard this before, I'm pretty sure, of when I talk about my higher education. And, there's been instances to where I've walked into corporate rooms and, I bring when I first got my first degree, I brought it into the job, and I was just like, yo, look what I got. Y'all, look what I got. And the looks on these people's faces, and I ain't going to say everybody, like there was a few people who was very happy for me. To this day, they still are. But a lot of them were, you could see it in their face. You could feel it coming off of their body. Like, I'm a reader of energy. Like, I felt it, and I was just like, oh, this ain't go the way I thought it would. Snickering, and, it's like, oh, not actually saying it, but like, yo, this dude think he better than us. Or not even, just flat out, they're threatened by me. You understand what I'm saying? Now they're inferior, and I didn't do that to make them feel that way. I'm working in the back office at this time. I'm thinking everybody back here got degrees. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I'm trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm working with some people who I know for sure got degrees, But I guess the people that I was showing it to didn't have degrees. Everybody back there didn't have degrees, come to find out. So that was a thing. So I'm just like, oh, now I got to be more protective of my position because of my status. And it's not like it was connected to the job, but higher ups do look at that when you do got your degree. And it's not always good. Let me remind you about this too. Like, people say, oh, we went to college to get degrees to get a job. No, we didn't. I know I didn't. I know a lot of people that I went to college with, they didn't go to college to get a job. Like, what's the point of getting all of that? What's the point of getting a higher education if you're going to go work for somebody? Like, that wasn't the intention. I know that there's a better chance of getting a higher paying job, but that's not why dudes went to school for college. Like, you got to understand this as well. The execs who already are in position to run their companies, and they're making, whether they're 500 Fortune 500 companies, or even if not, but they're just like big companies, they don't want a dude fresh or a girl fresh out of college coming in there putting in their application. Why? Because they're fresh out of college with the newest stuff, that the fuckery that has been going on without, throughout the industry and stuff like that. So they know, trust me when I tell you, like, I know so many corporate stories that are true and real, that me walking into a big company who's been used to things going the way that they want it to go for years, I'm a threat to them, or we're a threat to them. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not even like college students, college graduates should want to go into these companies, because it could be dangerous. So I just wanted to put that out there too. When I say dangerous, I mean don't think that there's not dangerous people in the business world. There are, it's just principles of power. It's just more about the mind. You know what I'm saying? It's more about mind control. But it can also put you in economic situations that are either favorable to you or that are detrimental to you. So just think about the economic sense of pay for college and stuff like that, and people are playing with you like you're not qualified to obtain these positions which pay more to support whatever loans you took out, whatever money you invested in your education to get back. You got to get that back, or you want to get that back, and these people are in position to prevent you from doing that. It's called like blackballing or something like that. Don't think that this stuff don't exist. It does. Get in the comment section if it exists, and you know it exists because it's something that you went through. So now something happened here because religious goers, they take on sacrifice, the afterlife, etc., right? Where and why did man begin feeling that they were going to ignore the physical and just give the reins all up to the spiritual, and take their cross, follow Jesus Christ, and go with Christ in the afterlife? They just don't want to have nothing to do with here. They even state that they're going to suffer. Oh yeah, we're going to suffer like Christ until we're out of here. I don't want to deal with this flesh. That's the devil. I hate my flesh. And they, this is the stuff that I be hearing. If you've heard that too, just get in the comment section. You don't got to go overboard. I just want to make sure that I'm not the only person that is observing this, having these talks, these discussions, and that I'm doing this for a reason. You know what I mean? So yeah. Now, that's more of a Christian logic, right? But even the Muslim logic as well, and it's different though. It's more like with them, because they have a idea of what the afterlife is as well. It's like they have a detailed description of what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty popping, to be real with you. But my point is, they don't ignore being in the physical though. They actually use their belief of the afterlife as a tool and even as a weapon while they're alive to push for what they believe in. And so if they're going to sacrifice themselves, and I know this might, this might sound terrible because of acts and stuff like that, I'm just making my point. You know what I'm saying? And it comes a lot of the times from economics, right? If a person or a group of people push, right, this word again, push themselves on another people to the point where the equilibrium is out of whack, then the response is what they respond and they do, because they want to fight back economically. They know that this group of people is trying to put an economic stronghold on the other people, and before they see that happen, they're willing to sacrifice themselves as a tool, as a weapon for what they believe, right? That's the difference, or somewhat. It's probably way more to it. I'm not under any religion. I'm an astrologer. So but I do want to make those points. I want to put emphasis on those points. So they are aware that they're more physical soldiers. And sometimes I hear Christians talk about that too. Like, yeah, put on the armor of God and stuff like that. But I don't understand how you can have both. I don't see how you can remove the physical and say, we're going to just wait till we're with Jesus in the afterlife and stuff like that. Go by the scriptures and have faith that when death comes, you'll be ready. It's just kind of awkward to me. So I say that to say this. And if the Christians wholeheartedly want to suffer for Christ in the afterlife, why do they have so much angst against spiritual matters, spirituality in general? You know, it's like, oh, you could talk spirituality when it comes to Christ, but you can't talk spirituality when it comes to anything else. Let's talk about Saint Augustine. Saint Augustine was a philosopher around the years 300 to 400, so like 354 to like 430 AD. Saint Augustine largely devised the theory of original sin. All right, and that he's stated that it was transmitted from generation down to generation through sexual intercourse. All right, we've heard this story as well. This is actually the story of Genesis. But this is the dude. The reason why I'm bringing up Saint Augustine is because he pushed this in the flesh after Christ. You understand what I'm saying? And this is where the Christian religion got pushed. I think the first Christian Bible was published, and I mean the New Testament was published around 100 something AD. So here's this philosopher that comes along between 354 and 430 AD who is, putting more emphasis on this whole sin thing, right? Because this is his thing. Oh, sin is because of people having sex and birthed more people, and is from generation to generation. So now we have what is called generational curses, I would guess, right? And then you always hear people today, they talk about generational wealth. So generational wealth is not a new thing. Generational wealth has been going on for a long time, right? Now, others can argue or debate that generational curses go on at the same pace, maybe even more, maybe less. I don't know the rate, but it's a thing too, right? So, if sin originated with atom, right? When or why did it turn into some people should be here and some people should not? What I mean by that is like downsize of population today, right? People have plots on how to either mitigate or just rid people off of the earth in general, right? And with that came the terminology, and by saying that some people deserve to be here, some people don't, or if a group of people is going to be here that we feel are the outsiders or the outliers, then what we're going to do is we're going to put them in a position that's lowly, right? Remember, this is how I started to think about doing this video. Lowly. Remain lowly. Be humble in front of God. Okay. So where does the lowly terminology come from? Well, the first lowly terminology comes from Satan being thrown down to earth, right? The serpent being thrown down to earth. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a passage from Revelation. Revelation 12, 7 to 17. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read starting there. So it said, now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. Hold on, let's stop right there for a minute. So let's read the definition for angel. Now, mind you, the dragon got angels. It doesn't say that the dragon got demons. It says that the dragon got angels. So let's read the definition of angel. It's a spiritual being believed to act as an attendant, agent, or messenger of God. Okay, that's one definition. Read the other definition. A spiritual being serving as a divine messenger and intermediary, and often as a special protector of an individual or a nation. So, this serpent, this dragon that gets thrown down to earth, has angels with them who are divine messengers, spiritual beings, messengers of God, and special protectors of an individual or a nation. Be mindful of that, right? I didn't write this stuff, by the way. I'm just a messenger. You feel me? So the dragon and his angels fought back, but was defeated. And there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who was called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Now, I want to back that up a little bit. Reason being because, this is an astrology channel. We do astrology here. So I'm breaking this down from in an astrological perspective. A serpent who was called devil, depicted with a horned tail, is none other than Scorpio. Newsflash, that's Scorpio. I'm going to explain fully why that's Scorpio. But I want to backtrack a little bit. I want you to understand the way that this scripture is written. It could be interpreted, two different ways. But I caught on. It says, and the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who was called the devil and Satan. So the serpent who was called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, he was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. So what I get from that is the serpent and Satan are two different entities. Y'all know me, Satan and Saturn. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So Capricorn and Scorpio were hurled down to earth because they lost in heaven, right? All right. So north and south on the astrological wheel, I've told y'all before, Aries to Virgo is the north hemisphere of the astrological zodiac wheel. From Libra to Pisces is the southern hemisphere of the zodiac wheel. So in the southern, which is the south, right, hurled down to live lowly, that's the south. You have Libra, you have Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aquarius, and Pisces. Putting heavy emphasis on Scorpio and Capricorn. Scorpio being the serpent, Capricorn being Satan. Saturn, Satan. The planet Saturn. Y'all get where I'm going, right? So, Scorpio rules over these things. Scorpio rules over reptiles for one. And this is why I'm saying Scorpio rules over the serpent. We're talking about the serpent has been hurled down to the earth to live lowly. Okay? Scorpions are depicted as having pointy, sharp tails. The devil is always depicted as having this point on the end of his tail. Right? But in all actuality, or to add on to that, Scorpio rules over reptiles. Okay? Scorpio also rules over these other things which I want you to be mindful of for the remainder of this discussion. Scorpio rules over heroism. So remember I said the dragon got hurled out of heaven with their angels, and an angel is something, an entity that protects a person or a nation. Scorpio rules over heroism. Scorpio rules over sex. Remember St. Augustine, he said sin came from the reproduction of humans, and it was passed through generation to generation through sex. I'm going to get to, when the serpent is in the garden and all of that with Adam and Eve in a minute. But I know you can already hear it, right? Scorpio also rules over secrets. We're also going to get into the primary secret that the serpent knew and revealed to Adam and Eve in the garden. To let you know, again, we're talking about the serpent is the Scorpio here. Scorpio also rules over recycling. So why am I making a point over that is because souls get recycled. You might not believe this. You might not want to believe this. But if you hear anything about reincarnation and energy exists, it doesn't ever die, and people leaving this earth coming right back in a renewed sleeve. I know you've seen the photos floating around of people who look exactly like people who lived in the 1400s that got photographed, or the 1500s, whenever the photos were around and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Even paintings that were depicted before the camera was available, like you can put side to side to these faces and they look identical. But Scorpio rules over recycling, represents infinity, leaving, coming back, infinite. You understand? Eternal life, right? And towards the end, I'm going to get to how Scorpio can relate to eternal life and stuff like that because of Uranus being exalted in the sign of Scorpio. So where there is, I might as well say it now, where reproduction of humanity may cause death or more death than life because of the multitude of people that are here, obviously there's going to be some type of altercation and some type of wars. And I'm not saying that it has to be, it just is that way, to the point where there will be deaths, there will be tragedies. There might be not enough medicine here, not enough food here, which I don't even believe, but there's not enough efficiency to make that happen. But with technology, it's more doable, it's more foreseeable. And Uranus rules over technology, electricity, very vital to life continuing. I'm not going to get into the physics of all of that, but you get what I'm saying if y'all knowledgeable on that stuff. Scorpio also rules over taxes, which I'm going to get into, and Scorpio rules over jealousy. The reason I made jealousy a point too is, well, I'm gonna wait till I get to that point. So let's get to the fall. But now that I've broke down the serpent and why the serpent is the Scorpio, Scorpio is the one that is the energy, right, in this story that is speaking to Atum, which is Taurus energy, by the way. In case you didn't know, study the Taurus fields. I'm serious. But it's dynamic. It's two. It's of two. It means two. It's the push and the pull. It's the plus and the negative. It's the positive, the negative. It's the masculine, the feminine. You understand? So we're gonna read the fall here, right? Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die." "You will not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." When the woman saw the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. And then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God had called to the man, "Where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." So it's evident now that their eyes are open. They do know what good and evil is. That's because they made the clothes for each other. Like, oh, if I'm naked, there's something I need to cover up here because of this good and evil thing that is taking place. So God said, and he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" Then the man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it." So God got big mad. So this is one of the things that I brought up in a debate with some religious goers, right? And I'm just like, yo, who's God in the Adam and Eve story? Like, where is he? They actually talking about God literally walking around in a garden. Was like, yo, who told you to do that? Didn't I tell you not to do that? Now, I'm one that supports telling them, like, don't take the writings of the Bible so literally. You should take them figuratively, but they love taking them literally. So I'm asking, okay, who's God in the book? Who's God? I'm supposed to just believe that this is God because y'all said it was God, or the writers of the Bible were men of God, or they agreed all that it was God and this. All right, so they opened up the box for me to say what it is that I'm saying right now. That God got big mad. Not only did, and because God got big mad, right, it proves the serpent right. So the serpent, who's depicted as this big liar, told his first truth in the very beginning. Because if God wasn't big mad, then he would have been wrong, right? He said, "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." They ate from it. They became like God, knowing good and evil. They became knowing good and evil immediately. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that they became God or equal to God, but they did have the same knowing and knowledge that God possessed when it pertained to that. We can at least all agree on that, right? So the serpent is right. Now, if you follow anything from Billy Carson, if you research, if you look at Billy Carson's work, he will refer to this serpent being Enki. All right, Enki and Enki had a brother named Enlil. Now Enlil was like the evil brother, but check this out. This is Billy Carson's work too. I'm shouting him out. It just made sense to me too. It's also why I'm even speaking about it. It's just that Enlil is supposed to be God in the Genesis book. He's enraged that these two people have became conscious to the point where they understand that they are naked and that they know good and evil now. So even more to the story of Enki and Enlil is the God who made Adam and Eve. It was like some lab experiment, like in the middle of the garden, and he basically put them together out of blood that he drawn from himself and his kind, the Sumerian gods, and they formed Adam and Eve, Atom, and then so as Billy Carson also phrased it, now wouldn't someone who is God Almighty and so loving and above everything and above everyone want you to be able to be knowledgeable and be aware of your surroundings and stuff like that, and know who you are, what could possibly potentially harm you and stuff like that? Because now you got to think like this, right? If there are truly physical entities, physical and spiritual entities here in this garden, in this Genesis story, before Adam and Eve, then we gotta rethink the whole question of God, creators, and all of that, right? So, not only that, these two books, this Enki book is removed from the Bible. It's allegedly, from what I heard, used to be part of the Bible. The priesthood removed it from the Bible. Why? Just ask yourself why. Biblical teachers and churchgoers and stuff like that, get in the comment section. Get busy. I know y'all be here. Y'all be lurking. Some of y'all be here. Some of y'all even, and this is another reason why I did this video, somebody was even like, yo, I love when you do the whole Bible scripture stuff. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could chime in. Like, let's help each other truly understand this. You understand? So anyway, I don't want to drag it. Enki was the one who was supposed to represent the serpent. All right. So this is the god of water. Enki is the god of water, fertility. This is the negative, the feminine energy. All right. Came through and was like, yo, listen, homeboy tripping over there. My brother tripping. He just want to rule over y'all and do whatever he want to do to y'all. Make a whole race of slaves. I'm about to get back to that in a minute. He tripping. So when his brother walked off, he put them on like, yo, this was really going on, So again, God comes back. God in the story comes back outraged. Just outraged. Just how I told you not to, All right. Now, Enlil is the god of the atmosphere, of the air. All right. Something to be mindful of too, because Enlil has been charged with creating the storm that caused the flood, the great flood. And Enki, the serpent, again went to Noah and was like, yo, dude, my brother, he tripping over here. You should go build the ark because he ready to wipe out everybody because now they got knowledge of self type shit. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Billy Carson. Check him out when y'all get time. All right, so let's talk about this. The serpent being hurled down to live lowly, right? So in this diagram, I have the hierarchy, right? It's an arc, the hierarchy. And I got the sun at the top because the sun represents ego. The sun represents individuality. I would not recommend people seeing the sun or perceiving the sun to be God, though. I would say to recognize its importance, though, and I say not to perceive it that way because, first of all, the likeness of the word sun to sun is symbolic. It has importance, relevance, and even through the scriptures, the Son of God. You know what I'm saying? So it's not God, it's the Son of God. You get what I'm saying? So nonetheless, though, when you look at the hierarchy in the sun sign characteristics, again, this is an astrological channel. You know what I mean? Ego is one of them. Individuality, right? The sun must be number one. Ego must be stroked when you're talking about the sun. Gotta be right, highly opinionated, right? You could tell them the facts. It's still, I got my right to my opinion. I can say what I want. It might be right to you or to three of y'all, but to me, it's this way, And gotta be seen, right? That's the light. I want to be seen. I want to be noticed. I want to be recognized. I want to be flashy. I want to be showy. I want to show off my stuff, right? This is the plus. This is the plus energy. The push it on you. And we got the serpent, lowly, got to eat dust for the rest of their life, and stuff like that. That's the Scorpio. Capricorn falls down. I did my best rendition of a upside down star, but falls down to the earth. Capricorn got Saturn there, represent that too. So in this diagram, though, you see below the ground, you see I have arrows pointing down to the word lowly, 8th house stuff, infinity. When you turn the number 8 over, represents the sign infinity. 8th house, Scorpio rules over the 8th house. Scorpio in the 8th house also rules over taxes, like I mentioned, right? So this is where Scorpio becomes protector of a nation, protector of a people, because it's a protector of the lowly people. It's the hero of the lowly people. It's the hero of the lowly people. So before I get too in detailed into what I mean by that, I want to read off some of the clause on the 3/5 clause. And this is part of the Constitution, y'all. Because remember, we're talking about when, why, and how did people start saying that people need to be separate from us people because we're the republic and they're not, type thing. You know what I mean? Or sin was passed down through generation to generation from having sex, so we gotta castrate motherfuckers or something, or something gotta happen so that these people no longer be here because it's sin and slavery. It's sin and slavery. If they're gonna be here, then they're gonna be like this. They're gonna be like Adam and Eve when they didn't eat the fruit, oblivious to what's really going on. Although the Constitution did not refer directly to slaves, it did not ignore them entirely. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States declared that any person who was not free would be counted as 3/5 of a free individual for the purposes of determining congressional representation, meaning voting. Vote, motherfucker. I get political power because I have this amount of bodies of chattel that are going to work for this state. Therefore, I get more political power for that. Think budgets and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And not even, but again, it says, it did not, however, make any attempt to ensure that the interests of slaves would be represented in the government. Meaning, although they would be accounted for, it doesn't mean that it was in their best interests. And this is the continuance of that. Representatives in direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. So adding on to all other free persons means slaves are just the benefit to be added on to the people who are actually free. And the Indians being untaxed, in a sense, you would think it's tricky when you talk about the Indians being untaxed, because in a sense you would think, okay, well, that's great. That means that they're free. Everyone else who was slaves, and I'm not just putting it all on black people. There was some Irish slaves and all that stuff too. Yeah, you were slaves. You know what I'm saying? But we do know the predominant thing that happened with black people and how heavy that was in American culture. We're not going to talk about how it goes back to the Arabs and all. We're not going to do that right now. Where it began. So we're talking about American history right now. So when I say it's tricky for the Indians, because again, sometimes when you're not taxed and you can't be represented, as we spoke about while reading this clause, there can't be no representation for them if they're not taxed, if they're not among the elite, because those, just think about it, there's free people who are not taxed here. So do you think the people that they massacred and slaughtered, which are the Indians, are going to be recognized as the elite in control of economic power and stuff like that? So I don't know the entire story. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on that. I should know more. I'm indigenous, half indigenous. But at the same time, I don't. So I'm just going to touch on it without getting deep into it like I know it all. But it is a point to make. I want to put heavy emphasis on that, because it lets you know right there that this is a depiction of the Republic stating who they are. And there's another side of this Republic that is not the Republic. They're inadvertently saying that with this whole 3/5 clause, right? So, therefore, we have the game of craps. Now, I know you're probably wondering when you clicked on the title, like, what does it mean, a game of craps? What are you talking about? So, for those of you who played craps before, if you heard about it or whatever the case may be, it's a game where when you roll 2 dice, and of course, dice, 12 dots on each on the dice, right? When you roll 2 dice, 12 signs in the zodiac. You feel me? But in the game of craps, right, the number 7 wins and the number 11 wins. But if you roll 2, the snake eyes, you lose. The snake eyes, really? The serpent, snake eyes? All right, follow me so far. So I'm going to get to why 7 and 11 wins. Now, mind you, from the 7th to the 12th house in astrology is all the southern region, right? We know this now. But something that's interesting about this game is that, as I mentioned before, Mr. Astrological, shout out to him, he pointed out how the sign Libra, the hieroglyph, is the sun actually setting. So remember, I'm talking about this serpent who was a hero, right? A hero and an angel for the lowly people. And because the terminology is this, you won't be flying high all the time. You know how they say you try to fly next to the sun, you're going to burn your wings, right? You're going to fall. So the serpent knows this. The serpent is wise and cunning amongst all the animals of the earth. So as the sun begins to set in Libra, it's the 7th house. So the other, the other depiction of winning in this game of craps is 11. The 11th house is Aquarius, gregarious, right? So these are both houses where, because they're air houses, probably has a lot more significance because of the Enlil being the god of air. This might be a reason why the serpent and Satan moves around these houses to actually win and arrange things in that, or have things arranged in that type of way as an attack on him, possibly. But more importantly for this lesson, it's about Aquarius being the 11th house of gregarious, meaning it's not all about you, dude. It's not all about you, chick. Whoever wants to be the biggest individual says, none of this should be possible without me. You know what I'm saying? Someone's always going to come along, right? Who says that, or who puts themselves out there like that. And that's the sun. You see, I got the sun depicted in this diagram at 23 degrees in Cancer. That is the highest point in the hierarchy for the sun to reach. And it happens at 12 noon. High noon, right? So, eventually though, the sun is going to set, and it sets in the sign of Libra. This is where the 7th house is, and it represents what? Relationships, business relationships. So this is where Saturn comes along, because Aquarius is teamwork make the dream work, by the way. I didn't want to leave that out. But Saturn comes along, right? And Saturn rules, is exalted in the sign of Libra. So like I said, the reptile, the serpent, Scorpio, already knows that the sun is going to set, right? Everyone should know that, but the serpent really knows this and prepares and just lives for the day, or lives for the times for this to happen. And in Proverbs 16:18-19, the saying goes, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. A fall. It is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. Now, pride, ego are sun sign characteristics. Those are Leo characteristics. And now we have a community that is actually openly expressing and claiming the term pride, and is ruled by Aquarius. That community, that way of life is ruled by Aquarius, the 11th house. You understand what I'm saying? 7th house of relationships. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so now Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, which, the rings around Saturn, you put your ring on your spouse, you get married, you get together. It's bound to happen that you're going to have a couple of kids, right? You're going to reproduce, right? So you reproduce and moves over to the next house, to the next sign, which is Scorpio, right? It's where the sex happens, life after marriage. The sex happens, the kids come, boom, 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 boom. Scorpio is going to reward you, tax returns and stuff like that. You get extra money for the kids, right? Scorpio rules over taxes. 8th house rules over taxes. Now, what I have in this diagram also is Scorpio as tax collectors, right? As the tax collecting entity is really extracting from positive masculine energy in order to feed and finance the poor, the lowly people, right? Now, the lowly people have been given like this even playing field with this Proverbs verse, because it's not so bad to be lowly now, right? Like I'm gonna just give you an example, right? Today, well, it's yesterday now. Yesterday, this girl asked me, something good that happened to you today? I said, you know what? I spent 20 minutes on my computer. I made a substantial amount of money for that. I took a walk in the nice sun, and I had a 10-minute conversation with someone, and I got paid well for that too. And I just came back home, and that was pretty much my day. I did some cooking, you know what I'm saying? I'm working on videos, and that was it. Great day. It was a long day though. A couple of other things happened that got me infuriated, and I'm just like, let it go, But I didn't want to talk about that. That's not what she asked. She said, what good happened to you today? My point is, I ain't have to sell 10 million albums. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have to marry the top chick in the world, or who everybody's drooling over and stuff like that. I ain't have to do none of these things. You know what I'm saying? To have a good day. I lived lowly in spirit, humble, you know what I'm saying? Kept it a being. And it was beautiful. So Scorpio was the hero of this type of lifestyle. And they're empowered through being the hero for these people who want to live this lifestyle, who in a lot of situations are destined to live this lifestyle because of their natal charts and stuff like that. Like I could read it, I could point it out in people's natal charts and all of that. I see when people suffer from keeping up with the Joneses and stuff like that. I'll be like, I don't know if I should tell them, but if I'm obligated to, I'll tell them like, yo, you should probably look into this government relief thing. Oh no, I can't do that. Pride, I can't do that. No way. It's just like, it's right here. You sure? Alright, let the pride get in the way. There's a big chance you might have a fall. You understand what I'm saying? So Scorpio does this extracting because of the positive energy, the masculine energy that pushes, right? These are signs that are negative more than they are. These are signs that are negative. They are not positive. So the potentially confusing part about this is that in the southern region, there are both masculine and feminine energies, or positive and negative energies, in the same thing in the northern hemisphere. So that's where it can get tricky. You can be like, yo, Sagittarius, are you really with us? Because you a fire sign and you masculine energy, you plus over there. You know what I'm saying? Scorpio can be looking at Libra the same way. Capricorn's negative, Aquarius is positive, Pisces is negative. And it's just like, yo, who's who here? But again, duality, should we separate the two and not understand the constructs of it, this is when we get baffled, and this is when we get confused, and this is where when we're oblivious in the garden, so to speak. When you know, you know. So my point with the positive energy, though, and right now I'm going to tag it to the hierarchy, which is the northern hemisphere of the zodiac, right? Because again, the characteristics that's associated with, being closer to the sun. You want to be seen. You want recognition. You want to be generous. You want to provide, which photosynthesis provides more when the crops grow and stuff like that. Without it, it wouldn't be able to feed as much, right? So we get it. We get it. But more than that, there's going to always more than likely be a push there that says, look, we want more. We got to do more. We must do more. We want more. And in order to do more, we need more. And there could be some restlessness that comes with that. So just imagine you're a negative sign, a feminine sign. You're chilling in the woods. You got your huts built up. You got a small community with you. And then villagers from the north come over and they're like, hey, nice setup you got here. But we wanna set up camp over here, whatever the case may be. Now the receptive, right? The negative sign, receptive, they might say, you know what? We're not beyond that. But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to extract some sap from the trees to get us some syrup, some maple syrup. Get us some incense and stuff like that, and then we'll situate you. We'll set you up with a tent back there, whatever the case may be. And the northerners might be like, "Nah, B, that ain't what we got in mind. That ain't what I said. What I said is we're gonna come through here. We're gonna stay the night. We're gonna set up shop, and we're gonna tell y'all how to run this shit over here." So you see how that push energy is pushed on to someone. And at that point, it's not going to be receptive. It's not going to be receptive. So now you're going to cause some friction. You understand? So this is where the obstacle is. This is where the war takes place. So in a lot of schemes, especially financial ones, if you look at today, if you look at my Lakers Fire series, and you'll see when I'm talking about Mars has its own type of money in the world, on the earth. Is highly associated with debt financing and quantitative easing, because it says, look, we don't have enough money. Like I said, that energy wants more, right? We don't have enough money to do this and do that, and we got to bail out these corporations and stuff like that. So turn the money printer on so we can do such a thing. And then they start doing it. Why? There's a few reasons why it's done, but one of those reasons being is because you're not gonna come down on the lowly people because of this. Like, this is some shit that y'all made up on your own because y'all just feel y'all always need more all the time. So we give it to you in the form of this economy to keep you busy. The same way that they'll try to keep the lowly people busy as slaves, right? Now, although Scorpio is a tax collector, you might say, well, it seems like they're condoning the whole slavery thing. And it's not necessarily, because the way that you see the positive energy push themselves on the negative energy or the lowly people, whether it's slavery, employment, rape, pillaging, all of that, there's a tax being paid for whatever's taking place lowly on the earth. You understand? So it's just like, at first it was bartering amongst the poor and the lowly. That was the suggestion, but they're like, oh no, we running down on y'all, we taking this shit. And it's just like, oh word? Well, if you're going to behave like that, we're going to tax you. You're going to have to pay us a tax of whatever it is that you're setting up shop to do. And you're going to have to pay us. If you don't pay us, we're going to kill you. Scorpio also rules over jealousy. So that's why I put that up there before. So let's get to that now. Because I said, we're going to kill you, right? So if you want to be seen, if you want recognition, when you think it's all about you, when you show in, you show off, you say, look, I got all these drip. I just made a song talking about, y'all niggas ain't got no money over there. Y'all ain't making no money. I got all the jewelry, and that's why I got all y'all bitches. Now, the lowly people, somebody out of that crew is going to get jealous. Just because they might look around and be like, yo, you know what? This motherfucker's right. And he just made a record that is all over the world now, talking about how he's shitting on us and we ain't got shit. It's off with his head when we see him, you know? So this is what I mean by that. It's either going to be a tax or there's going to be a war. You understand? And then it gets flipped. Oh, but we're just providing more for the people. This is where the whole political argument comes in. Corporation versus the government, right? Oh, y'all just want to sit back and receive off of the work that we do. It's like, no. It's not that simple. Y'all want to work and move and be busy 24 hours or have people working and moving and being busy 24 hours a day so you could benefit from it and you can be empowered. You can be like a bulldozer because you keep pushing yourselves on people. But you're not going to bully nobody on Scorpio's watch. We're going to extract that money in tax and you're going to pay that tax. And this is how the poor is financed or the lowly is financed. Now look how I got the diagram. Scorpio extracts the taxes from the push energy, right? And sends it straight to Pisces, straight to the 12th house. 12th house rules over government relief. You understand? So the allocations is made in Scorpio and it's sent to Pisces. These are the two secret houses. The two secret houses. Scorpio rules over secrets. Pisces rules over confidential information. So this whole, dark government, shadow government that rules over the government, the real government and stuff like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. And these are the two main culprits that ensure that. So again, Scorpio is the hero for the lowly people. Now what's happening is, right? Again, the Aquarius energy, because that's corporate profit, right? Again, that's number 11. They winning, right? So what they're doing now is they're setting up these trusts, right? These charities, these corporations. And what they're doing is they're raising money for oblivious people, right? Sleep in the garden, don't know the difference between good and evil, raising large amounts of money, right? Putting it in these charities, these trust funds. You're gonna see I got this article of many of the largest charities in America are giant money making scams. Yeah. But one of them is about the children, like it's a children fund, man. And it raises millions and billions of dollars, yo. What they're doing is they're first of all paying some of that money to the corporation leader, the CEO, right? Now, if you don't know, when you got a corporation, you got a business, when you make donations to other charities, you get a tax write-off. There's a tax break for that. You understand? So they're doing that, but they're setting up, it's like they're setting up these trusts, these charities are dummy accounts for their corporation. So they'll send relatives of their staff, like nepotism, to go run these charities in like the back of a warehouse somewhere. Like this one says it's literally in the back of a warehouse, like on a corner store somewhere. And it's like they're running a charity for children. Billions of dollars, right? The staff is getting paid astronomically from this money that is raised, in comparison to the rest of the people, and like 3% maybe gets actually allocated towards helping these children. And that's just one example. A lot of them are doing it. So they're abusing the 12th house energy with this 11th house movement that they got going on. Because why? More pride, more greed, more, you understand what I'm saying? And usually there's a figurehead, there's a CEO who's at the top doing this stuff and making this happen. Y'all already know how I feel about the Gates guy. Like, he does this on numerous occasions. Look it up. But yeah, I felt it important to put emphasis on that. So the point here is all of the points that I made. You know what I mean? I do want to close this from an economic standpoint so you can understand the importance of what it is that I'm saying here. The housing crash now imminent as Fed officially bursts the bubble. What does this mean? See, I'm a negative sign. I'm 50. What am I? 56? No, 60% optimistic. So I still got some pessimistic in me. But all negative signs are pessimistic signs by nature. You know, skeptics, doubtful of this whole may the force be with you. They're the do-gooders. If they're the do-gooders, like, you gotta prove this shit to me. Who's the fucking do-gooders? You know, I know who I am. I'm a Pisces. I'm a dark dude. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I know I consist of duality, the material, the spiritual world, and all of the energies pertain to me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get lost in that. I don't get caught up in it and say I don't have my positive moments and stuff like that. I know where the balance is, but I know when my equilibrium is being threatened. So to me, whoever threatens my equilibrium ain't doing good. I don't care what cloth you wear. I don't care what symbol you holding up. I don't care what family you come from. You mess with my equilibrium, there's an issue at hand. And I think everyone should feel the same or feels the same. But some people go looking for it. This is what I'm saying. That force energy, some people go looking for it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, the Federal Reserve announced recently that they would be increasing the federal funds rate by 0.75%, which is the largest increase since 1994. The increase is designed to slow inflation by making it more expensive to borrow money and to decrease the demand that surged when interest rates were historic lows in 2020 and 2021. The recent rate hikes will affect everyone, even if you're not planning to borrow money for a house, car, or other assets. And many people are about to lose their jobs. You are about to lose your job. Seems like I'm cheering and I'm celebrating about this, right? Because I like the realism that's attached to this. Because this is another thing that Republicans argue in contrast to Democrats. Shout out to my people online who'll be posting all of this stuff. Help informing me about this stuff, right? It's like they argue that, oh, if I had to work and use my college education or pay for my college education, then the next generation should too, or their education isn't worth me paying for it. And it's just like, yo, when you was coming up, education didn't cost that much. The commodity basket didn't cost as much as it does right now. And wages in contrast to prices is marginalized. Like, it's way different. So you can't argue that. It falls on deaf ears. It's just not significant. You cannot argue that. Way different, but this is, if you argue from that standpoint, it just it reveals to you who these people are or how they feel they believe to be, and that's more than likely the Republic, and you must be the demo mob because you're angry, you're upset about this, or you're just making it a point like, yo, students shouldn't get a break. They got to be rich to get a break. So if you make that argument, you must be part of the demo mob, right? Because you're going to get angry and tear the city up if it doesn't change, right? But you heard what I told you, Scorpio telling you, is the hero of the lowly. Some shit going to die. Some shit going to die. So yeah, I do feel a bit cheery about that. I do, because the Mars currency that I talked about, the fiat currency being inflated in the Lake of Fire series because of the money printing machine. If you were efficient at what you did, you wouldn't need a bailout. The reason why you're inefficient is because you've gotten too much to operate with, and now you're haughty. Now you are way egotistical. Now you are way prideful. Now you are way empowered to the point where you don't know. You're oblivious now to the point where you don't know what could possibly happen to you. The sun will set. The sun will set, right? So how does that happen? And this is what basically what they're saying is, right? You may look at these people or these entities as bigger than they are. And this is why. it's because, and some of y'all are geniuses or elite and rich watching this channel too. So I'm not. You're just basically confirming what it is that I'm saying. You've been around it all your life, maybe. When interest rates are real low like that, it allows the financiers, or should I say, it encourages the financiers to lend a whole bunch of money out to people who have not, messed up their credit and stuff like that. People who are eligible, Oh yeah, give them, and they give them lots of money. So when people, these gurus get on, they be like, yeah, I made $5 million this year just off real estate alone. I got 500 unit complexes and stuff like that. You can do it too. And it's just like, they get allocated as millionaires, billionaires, but in all actuality, it's inflated, it's fluff, it's debt. And when one person gets offered that debt and they obtain it, more and more people get offered that debt because the price of borrowing money is very low when interest rates are low. So everybody gets to get in, and everybody gets on the bandwagon, and then the next thing you know, the price of homes have skyrocketed, and you're like, yo, how does a house cost that much now? And it's because everybody's doing it, but they buying it, and they trying to rent it out to renters. Like, they're just buying it to flip it, right? Or they're buying it to have it, and on paper it looks like it reads that they're millionaires and they're billionaires, but if nobody occupies it and nobody has money to rent those spaces, what are you really? It's just ghost cities, right? So there's a market correction that's happening now to where all of those homes that were bought are going to be now corrected, and they're going to be worth less. And now a lot of people who were on that bandwagon are going to be dipping off that wagon like, yo, we're not buying no more homes because the shit is going south. It's tanking. We got to get out of it. You understand? Now, I bring this all back to the Cancer energy because, which is the highest of the hierarchy, right? And, when they said Satan fell as the great deceiver, the reason why Capricorn, Satan, Saturn deceives people is because it makes you, it tricks the person who is viewing into believing that status and recognition for what you do is more important than family. Just being a being on the earth, and just being, having a lineage of some sort. When you look at the rich families, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, they mean it when it comes to that family shit. The Waltons, the Gates, they mean it when it comes to family, yo. Yet out here, there's a lot of people in the masses getting taxed, right? And you notice how those who have large corporations don't get taxed? That represents the free, right? The same people that was expressed in the 3/5 clause that more, they get political representation because of those who are taxed, those who are enslaved, gets added on to the free persons. That's what that is. That's what that depicts. That's what that language means. Oh, this person, the CEO, has this many people in check, in order. I don't gotta pay no taxes. They're free. So what they're basically telling you is that man is free, that woman is free. The rest of y'all ain't. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to that, in the Cancer energy, and people are duped by those mega people or put on that pedestal, and they say, well, man, you know what? I'm gonna hurry up and I'm gonna go get a house then. You know what I'm saying? And then they allow you, right, as a consumer, yeah, get a house, but you don't even buy the whole house. We're at a point right now, again, the difference between price and wages and stuff like that from then till now is outrageous. Back in the day, a house was like 10, 15 grand, yo. A house in New York City is starting at $500,000. A half a ticket for a house. So the average person is going to put down on a house and hedge on income that they haven't even received yet, but they got to trade their labor for their income to pay down and keep putting down and pay down on the rest of the house. So it's a false reality. So now they say, oh, you're a homeowner. You're not a homeowner. You're still a home renter. It's just a mortgage, but you got a home. You're not a homeowner. But what's even more tricky is they'll even let you borrow off of your own house when the interest rates are low. Like, yeah, take out money because you got this much equity in your home. And you're like, oh, yeah. Now you're empowered, but you're just trying to catch up with the Joneses. When in all actuality, if you're going to get one, if you haven't sold grandma's house already, if y'all haven't sold big mama's house already, and y'all going to start this thing over again, then you should. And if you're not going to do that, or should I say, this is what I mean to say. Look at your savings account. I told you already, 4th house of savings. 4th house is what Cancer rules over. 4th house rules over the semen, the moon chakra, the bottom, the lowest chakra, foundation, fundamentals. So if you're going to start a lineage, start with savings, y'all. Start with savings because, like I said, it's half a ticket for a house in New York. Save up a half a ticket. Don't even get stressed out about thinking about how you're going to do it. Set your mind state to that. Stop listening to these gurus who are telling you saving money is for suckers and you get rich now, everybody's getting rich and all that. Listen, remember what I said, generational wealth and generational curses. They done played this game time and time and time over again to where they're hedging on you making these quick, irrational decisions when you don't even have the lineage to support that type of behavior. You're just winging it. Making kids, get a job, get the Benzes and all that. You winging it. You know what I'm saying? You want the light, you want to be known and all that. You winging it. People got generational wealth for real. And they're hedging on you making these mistakes so they can put you in a box that says, you're the demo mom, you're the Democrat, you know? Which is not a terrible thing because some of this political stuff is really real. Like these people really going at it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to drag this too much, but this is some key findings from Americans in the savings and stuff like that. This is out of a relatively small sample out of 2,000 Americans, but nonetheless, it's something to hang on to. Since the pandemic, the amount of savings has increased, which I think is a great thing to make note of because at least I think maybe a fear tactic, even more a survival mechanism that is ruled by Cancer, right? Survival. Instinctual. So, it's a pandemic. We don't know where the job's going to come from. We don't know where the money going to come from. Well, I'm holding on to something now because everything don't seem like it's flowing. So I'm not going to get in that bandwagon of, everything is flowy, everything is not. Because obviously it's not. And this came out of nowhere, so I'm holding on to some bread now. So most Americans, 22%, have 1,000 to 5,000 in their savings now. Which increased. Last time I brought up the statistic, 69% of Americans didn't have $1,000 in their savings account. And that's like, whoa. So now, and then we got this Generation Z are actually saving more money than any generation before. So, so there's some positives that's coming out of this. That's coming out of this logic. That's coming out of this financial crisis. This almost a reset. And just think about it. When the interest rates rise, people are not going to be able to borrow like that. So all of these people who think they're tycoons and stuff like that, or think that they're better than and all that stuff like that, like a lot of people are about to take losses. Some of them already have. So it's leveling the playing field. You understand what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't want to drag this too much. I feel like I kind of got a little spacey as it went on, but I hope y'all get the point. You know what I'm saying? I hope I put this together in a way that you understand this astrologically. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm out.